Okay, Stuart, international break, it's coming to an end, and for City, unfortunately, still much of the talk has been dominated by Carlos Tevez. Can you just bring us up to speed on the latest with that situation?
Yeah, it's pretty much as it was over the weekend. Carlos still hasn't showed up. I think everybody wants to see the situation come to a close now, but our indications are that it may not do so because City are in no huge rush to get it done. You know, it's not like the player who they need to get back into the squad and into the team. He's a player who's out of it at the moment, and looks like to stay that way. So City's priority is making sure they get it right because it's a very important time for them, and it's a very important situation. They need to get this one right to make sure that they don't lose an awful lot of money on Tevez. Obviously, he didn't show up yesterday when he was expected, and City were hoping to interview him as part of the disciplinary process. And now we're just waiting to see what happens. You get the feeling that his advisors are concerned about what's going on as well. You know, City want him back. The Players' Union chief, Gordon Taylor, wants him to come back and face some music, as they reported in the evening news tonight. And I think it's in everybody's interest if he gets sorted out, and the sooner the better.
Absolutely, and I mean, it'd be good to get back to football in a way, won't it, this weekend? And it's a big game for City against Newcastle.
Yeah, it will. These international breaks are a nightmare. You know, you don't have any proper football for a fortnight. You have pointless friendlies, and you know, I don't think they do the game an awful lot of good. We want to watch Premier League football, don't we, these days? You know, international tournaments are okay, but it's club football and the Premier League that people really want to see. Yeah, big game. Newcastle, the two unbeaten teams. It's also the irresistible City attack against the immovable Newcastle defence. They've got the best defensive record. City have got a record-breaking attack at the moment, so it's fascinating stuff. You know, whether Newcastle come and shut up shop and try and use that defence to keep City out, or whether they come and show a bit of adventure and try and win the game. But either way, it promises to be a fascinating game.
Yeah, and it's the start of what is going to be a pretty hectic spell, isn't it, for City? You could argue this season will make or break on this next spell, both in the Premier League and in Europe.
Yeah, what is it, 6 weeks to Christmas, I think it is. It doesn't bear thinking about. Obviously, Napoli this time next week will be the Napoli game. Huge game for City. The whole Champions League campaign rests on that one. And then it's away at Liverpool the following weekend, a very tough game. You know, good examination of the credentials. Carling Cup quarter-final, Bayern Munich at home, Chelsea, Arsenal, the 2 games after that. It just doesn't stop. And as you say, I mean, these 6 weeks could really be the making and breaking of City's season in many ways. Some good results in those games, and they'll be going into Christmas, you know, the happiest club in the country, I think.
Yeah, just looking beyond Christmas towards January transfer window. City have been so active in the transfer windows of the recent past. Do you think the club will go back in to the market there? Just thinking in particular about the midfield with Yaya Toure off to the African Nations Cup. Perhaps they might be tempted to go for a bit of cover in there.
Yeah, Yaya's going to be a big miss, and that'll be a worrying few weeks for City. But they've got Nigel de Jong who can come in, and quite possibly will do this weekend actually. Owen Hargreaves hopefully should be up to speed by then. I think if they do go back into the transfer market, I'm not sure another midfielder will be what they were looking for. Although that's what Mancini was looking for towards the end of last season. I mean, a lot will depend on Owen Hargreaves if he is fit and he is okay. You know, he should be okay to come in and fill that gap. But I think a central defender may be something that they need. You know, Stefan Savic is still quite a young lad, certainly in Premier League terms, and he's new to the country. Kolo Toure hasn't had an awful lot of football, so if anything happens to Lescott or company, there could be a problem there. So I would imagine that they're looking more in those terms. But if Owen Hargreaves doesn't doesn't come up to scratch, well, you know, they may just start looking midfield as well.
Okay, that's great, Stuart. Thanks very much.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.